what we're going to do today is some maintenance on our Raspberry Pi K3s cluster. And we have a node in that cluster that is the weakest link. You hate to see it.
You are the weakest link. You hate to see it.
There's a weak node. There's a weak worker node. And it's the last node that still has a 32 gig SD card. Sad times. So we're going to take that node out of the cluster properly-ish. Properly. And we're going to swap the SD card. We're going to put Ubuntu on it, which I've already done that, so we don't got to wait around for that. We're going to update Ubuntu packages. We will then reintroduce the node into the cluster using some Ansible code that does all the pairing and matching of new workers to an existing cluster using K3s. And once we get that guy back up there and healthy, if we have time and if we want to, we can, or we could save this for another stream, even though I think we'll just do it today. We can upgrade K3s. We can upgrade Kubernetes from what we're running today, which is a little old. We're running 1.21.3 and 1.21.9 just got released 2 days ago by the K3s people, by the Rancher people. So appreciate that a lot. Thank you. And we'll click a couple buttons and stand on the shoulders of giants. I think that's the plan.
Perfect. Sounds really fun, actually. I love jumping into the K3s stuff. Did you mention, I'm sorry, I might have missed it. Did you mention that we're going to take a look at the automation for K3s too?
Yeah, probably during that downtime we can poke through the automation that we have, the Ansible that we have. And a topic that might come up on the stream is, I don't know if we have this public open source, and there's good reason for that, but I feel like if we talk about it, then we kind of got to put our code where our mouth is and like make it good.
I mean, by no means is this like super, super amazing Ansible, but I do think it's a great learning tool for this project. It works great. I mean, it was designed specifically for this task, but it's definitely not. We did not write it with like enterprise grade checks in mind. You know what I mean?
It's hobby grade.
It's hobby grade, but I still think it's a great example of how to automate K3s. I learned a lot by digging into the binaries of K3s when we were initially standing it up, because the documentation is awesome, but there's a lot of like flags that you can pass in to stand it up. Like we stood it up in high availability. And when I was doing it, their docs only had like a one way to do it. But if you actually if you look at the one way to do it and they say, hey, run it with these options and stuff like that, and then you actually dig into some separate documentation, then you're like, oh, those same options exist over here, so I could actually automate it in a different way. Anyways, long story short, it's a good thing. We will publish it. We'll make it open source. We'll remove a couple of like our bad things that are in it that nobody can see, and we'll publish it. It'll be good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say it now. When this video goes live on YouTube, the description will have a link to the GitHub, and it will be available at that time.
Sam, you heard him. He heard you. He'll make sure it happens. And make sure you do it. So yeah, we're gonna click some buttons today because I love clicking security breach. I love clicking buttons, and it's really fun. And some other things I could throw down this, so you're promising things that you're going to do in the open source community. Some future streams too, that I'm just, if we're spitballing, a little pre-stream here while people are coming in. This cluster, super fun. It's a hobby grade cluster right now, right? I guess I kind of want to make some statements around that. It's definitely hobby grade because we installed it, we got it to work. It's like 12 nodes, 11 plus our little bastion that we'll see today. And just recently we've acquired CKS certifications, and we've really started to invest in learning a lot more about the hardening process. And I think there's some big numbers we could put up in terms of trying some of these new security tools against our hobby grade cluster today. And that's why I mean, that's kind of why we set out on this Kubernetes cluster. I mean, we wanted to host the website, but now that we're not hosting the website there's good opportunity to just beat it up, lock it down, make sure we can still access the apps that we do have running on there, and see how close we can get to matching all the benchmarks. And some of the other security tools that we've talked about recently too in prior streams that are eluding my... Actually, no, we haven't talked about those yet. I saw some videos from Victor Farsick last week or two that we could tie into that. Some good conversation going on right now with new tools. So
I think having a hobby cluster is also so good. So good. I mean, even if you're not hosting anything in it, I mean, from like a production workload perspective, like there's so many tools in the cloud native landscape to play around with, really. I mean, if you're a professional DevOps engineer, there's so many things coming out all the time, right? Like Argo, Pinniped for Argo for deploys, Pinniped for logging into the cluster and identity management. And then there's Rook, and there's the list is endless. I'm not just going to keep listing off tools, but having the hobby cluster, you can just go and deploy a service mesh to it and play around with it, see how it works. And yes, you could stand up a Kubernetes cluster like AKS out in the cloud, but you know what? They handle your entire control plane for you. They handle in a lot of cases, they handle your service mesh for you. And when you have the hobby cluster, not only do you have to stand up the entire control plane yourself and understand how it works, and you have to install core DNS and get that working, and you have to choose your oh my god, what's Weave called? What's the generic name for products
CNI.
like Weave?
CNI.
Yes, sorry, CNI. You have to choose those things, and you have to get them to work, and you have to get them to work with all the other choices you made. It's awesome. And then with a hobby cluster, sorry, I'm on a rant, but I'm going for it. Is the actual like hardware networking. It takes it that one step further. Like you actually have to, and the OS, you have to configure the OS. So you just learn so much. It's crazy.
It's good.
Okay. Do you want me to change screens?
So step one, let's jump right into it. Step one is we are going to drain and cordon our node that is going to be destroyed. You hate to, it served us well for 181 days. Go ahead.
Let's talk about what we have up on the screen right now. We're doing a little something. We are videographer professionals today.
Oh, hello.
We have multiple camera angles going on today. If you look at the third camera view, not English professionals though.
No, that's Scotty. That's why we hire English majors here.
Bazinga. So the bottom video feed is a live feed of our data center. When we said it's hobby grade, it is hobby grade, but I think we went a little overboard when we chose a lot of our networking equipment. So we have a semi-professional, that's a Ubiquiti Dream Machine Pro as our main router. And then we have a network switch that is also Ubiquiti, but it is a PoE switch. So all of the Raspberry Pis have PoE hats installed on them because we didn't want to have a whole bunch of power cables running all over the place. So all of the Pis in this cluster are drawing power through the Ethernet switch, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we'll talk through that. Or rather, I'll give some more shots of that when we get to the hardware portion of running a data center, as it were. All right. Cool. So we're looking at, I thought you were going to talk about K9s. So we have kubectl on our command line, which would also kind of tell us what's going on. And we can see we've got our huge cluster with...
Could you blow that text up a bit?
Sure. Wait for it. Okay, well, that's what you're going to get. So we're running 3 controllers. We won't talk about how these aren't load balanced at the moment. That's another future potential stream. I think you were kind of alluding to that. Right now, they are all running a version of Kubernetes v1.21.3 plus k3s1. That's their version of Kubernetes right now. And they're all running Ubuntu 20.04.3 LTS. Pretty sweet. Interestingly, look at this. The kernel version of Node 2, as I alluded to, is actually a little bit higher than the other. I think we can double check this later, but I'm pretty sure what I'm going to install, I flashed back when these guys got built. And this guy was a little more recent. We're not going to reflash. We're just going to build on this old kernel, quote unquote. We can take a look at that. And containerd is all good to go. Okay, so K3s though, my goodness, just it really brings it to your fingertips. So now we're in K3s in nodes view, which is just a more interactive view of what you could have on the kubectl. And node 1 is a big problem. I'm going to do a describe on node 1. This would be kubectl describe. And I can see lots of stuff about node 1. Ooh, very good. The token is tokenized here. Haha. Beat that, internet. We're on IP.27 on our nice internal network. And right here, our capacity and our ephemeral storage. Right now it is 3 quadrillion, whatever it is. It's the 30. This is 32 gig. And what we really want is something like this guy, node 2. It's got 61. It's got the 64 gig card in here. So ephemeral storage we're taking a look at. Upgrading our hard drive, even though it's just an SD card. So what are you going to do? So if this was test-driven development, this is current state, which you like to do. Let's drill in and let's take a look at what's running on this. Hello, Postgres is running on node 1. Oh man, I hope he's watching. He's not. He's gonna notice. Maybe he won't. So we're running Kubernetes, and Kubernetes is high on resiliency. We're gonna drain this node of all of its workloads. A lot of this other stuff is Rookceph, and these are just little daemon sets. They stick around. Traffic is our ingress controller for K3s, which is wonderful. That's going to stick around. But this guy's a real workload for a real application. And, well, I trust Kubernetes to take care of it. Right? Any opposed? We're going to drain and cordon this node before we do anything to it so that any workloads that are on it get reallocated to another node. And we can watch that happen in real time with this.
You know what we need?
Go ahead.
We need some stickers for the Twitch stream, one of which says, drain that node. Drain that node. Drain that node. Huh?
Sure.
He loves
it. You get a node.
Best idea ever.
Yeah, let's go with that. And so it would normally be kubectl node drain. Kubectl help nodes, please.
Yep, you were correct.
Perfect. Kubectl node drain. Node 2. But I am lazy, and I love K3s, K9s, and K3s for that matter. And we are going to drain, which I believe will cordon for us if we do a full drain. So let's take a look. We're going to hit R. Normally, I ignore daemon sets and force local data. And what we should see is that pods drop from 6 to 5, and that one of the other nodes will pick up that workload for that Postgres pod. Okay, I dropped a lot. So there was more than just daemon sets on there. And all of our alerting is going off, telling us that, hey, something happened. And now we just see traffic, and these are daemon sets here. Daemon sets.
Let's figure out where that Postgres pod went.
Sure. Right there. It went to node 2.
There it is.
And it's spinning up. It's the replica. I'm pretty sure the replica doesn't do anything at this moment. He'll let me know later. Please. You know, we're not going to dig into this. We were working on this the other day. It worked. Piece of cake. What was I worried about?
Diggity.
I was worried about this weird warning. But we're good. We're good to go.
The lock probably just took some time to release or something.
Now, oh my gosh, what happened? This is red. Yes, so K3s will kind of tell you, hey, the node is in a kubelet ready status, which is what you would like to see, and scheduling is disabled. So that means it is also cordoned. We could uncoordinate. Actually, I don't want to do that. You could uncoordinate, and then stuff might be scheduled onto it again. But right now, the Kubernetes scheduler is saying, no go. Node 1 is radioactive, whatever. Don't go.
I love K9s. It's so nice.
It's pretty good. It really makes it makes Kubernetes even more approachable than, well, it makes it very approachable. It really does.
So shout out to the developer. I know that the developer is, he's keeping it open source, but he also has a version that you can basically donate for. And if you do, you get some extra features. So
we should
just call
buy
it shout out.
We should probably buy it. It's really good.
I've been considering it. We use it constantly, so I feel like it would be good.
Okay, so we're good here. Step 1, Drayden Corden. Step 2, we're going to delete the node, which seems really sketchy because it's like, oh God, I'm going to delete the node and then I want node 1 to show back up later. But I'm really going to delete it pretty hard and it's not going to have anything to do with it anymore. And so, you got to YOLO it at some point. And to do that, there's a control D here, which it would be kubectl node delete, node 1. But we're going to delete node 1. It's going to go away forever. And it's gone. So you hate to see that. There's no turning back at this point. Unless we want to just limp along with this cluster.
Limp along with our 10 nodes, 11 nodes.
Basically. So, what do I got here? The next step is I want to SSH onto that node and do a graceful shutdown so that I can extract it from the data center. So it was 27. And here we are, node 1. All right, pour one out for your homie because he's going away. Or she. I mean, you know what we are. What we're about. And it's gone. Now, if we're really good, you should see like a light at the end, at the very end. It's the second one from the farthest away. Sorry. Will turn off. And it's at this point where Makita is going to talk while I walk an undisclosed distance to that camera view. So are you going to give the play-by-play? I'll go nice and slow. I won't be able to hear you.
I will give the play-by-play. Watch as the male human wanders confusedly. He can't hear me anymore, so it's not as much fun. Yeah, no, I love doing this shit. Sam loved it. Sam loved my Discovery Channel talking. Oh, there he is. There's the thumbs up. And he pulls. Oh, what's he doing? He is making decisions. He's pulling the Ethernet cord. It is now disconnected, which means no more power is going to that Raspberry Pi. He is now unscrewing the mounting bracket. Watch as he twists the nut to the left. That means it's being loosened. MacGyver, exactly. You're so good at this, McCracken. When you watch this back later, you're only going to get praised. See, he just removed the node. We purchased a node rack for those Raspberry Pis, so we can just slide them right out. It's a little bit of a tight fit when you get it filled, though, unfortunately. So he slid that out, and he's gone. He's probably on his way back. Oh, he made a pit stop in the bathroom. But while we're waiting for him, I don't really know what to say right now, actually. He just he had this like rhythm, and I just kind of got into like watching it. It was really nice. What do you guys think? I'll ask the chat. Chat, speak to me.
Okay, we're back.
Nothing. Oh, he's back. Oh, you saved me.
Okay.
You saved me. He can't hear me still.
What'd I miss? Was it good?
I did a very good job. I did a very good job while you were gone.
Did you do Mission Impossible theme?
Oh, I should have done that. No, I described what you were doing. I made some jokes, and then I ran out of things to say, and we sat in silence.
Checks out. I'll check the VOD later. Cool. So that was easy. Let me rearrange some stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was telling the stream, I just got I was watching you. I was just watching your presentation, basically, and I was really into it. And then you left, and I was like, oh, crap, what do I say?
I mean, I warned you. I warned you you're going to be on your own today for a minute. Let's see. Okay, cool. So I think what I'm going to do is we'll show this. So my awesome camera will point down. I'm wearing pants today. Be happy to know.
Odd thing to point out.
Is it?
Yeah, it's fair. We all work remote.
Please. Okay, cool. And then if I'm awesome,
you know what I'm gonna do, if you don't mind, I'm going to swap to a view where you're bigger.
I can zoom.
I know, but you're a tiny box off to the left. Do you need K9 still up on the screen?
I mean, it'll take 2 seconds, but I do not. You may do that. You let me know.
All right, we're just going to go to a little bit bigger of a view. This is the only other one I have available, so go ahead.
You ready?
All right, how's that? Cool. And we're actually not going to use this. So let's take a peek. So right now we have our Raspberry Pi mounted in this amazing device, which our data center was designed to hold. And this is a Raspberry Pi 4, 8 gig, 4 core of whatever little awesome ARM processor it has. One thing we can show is the hat, the PoE hat. And you can kind of see it sits on there. It's this board that pops through these pins here. There's a board that just kind of sits on top. It's a black board. Normally the Pi is green. But just adding that, it pops onto a bunch of power pins and some electrical engineer who we think very much built this thing or designed it, and then it was built in a factory somewhere awesome. And all you have to do is have a PoE switch, which we have, like Makita described. And all we need is just Ethernet, and it's amazing. Super solid, We love it. How much they go for? They used to be like $30, right? $20. I don't know what they are now.
The hats?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was around $30.
I don't know what they are now. Yeah, per hat. Totally worth it. Totally worth it.
And there's cheaper ones too.
Okay. It's kind of a requirement in our cluster. Like, you could run power, but man, be a mess in there. It is just so clean. There's one cable and it's beautiful. So, I've got my dongle here where normally, we would put in the micro SD card here and we would flash it with Ubuntu on the Mac. We're not going to do that today because I have pre-flashed it 6 months ago. And then we'll update the packages today and we'll wait around. And so let's get on with it. The SD card is back here. And it's kind of weird to get at with this situation, but I got good at it because I had to do it 1,000 times. And we have extraction. And lo and behold, it is a 32 gig card.
There she is.
Yes. Beautiful. And we will put this person right over here. I'm going to personify all the tech. We're going to put this little guy over here for decommission. And then imagine you're in Tron and you're going to be de-resed. That guy's going to be de-resed later. Not that he was bad. He lived a nice long life and served his purpose. And now we're going to put it back with a nice 64 gig card.
That's I love the case. I think it's really sweet. It just it looks like you're dealing SD cards over there.
It's like Neo in the Matrix, right?
A little bit.
I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan.
That's funny.
Nope, it's just a boring Ubuntu from 6 months ago. Nothing cool. No hacker stuff. And then we plug that guy back in, and this Pi has no idea where he's been. Okay.
You were showing all of the other Pis in their current state.
Yes.
In terms of like the OS and the kernel version.
Yes.
I was thinking to myself, man, we could probably just update those in place. Like drain and cordon and then update the OS without having to reflash. But it's so easy to reflash.
Well, what update to the OS are you referring to?
Oh, just like the kernel version, right? It's two. It was like,
yeah. You are absolutely
because you can.
We could definitely upgrade the kernel if we wanted to. Yep. I think it has more to do with the firmware and stuff that gets put on this guy. I think you could do that. I've not looked into it. It's a good thought. And it definitely probably doesn't require reflashing. Future stream incoming by Makita, where he'll be at my location, undisclosed, doing all that work because he just... Sam, write it down. He said he's going to do that.
Well, I mean, my comment was like, you can do it, but with as quick and easy as what we're doing here is, and setting up a new node just fresh, I just don't know if it's even worth it, to be honest.
Right.
Unless, I guess, you need to upgrade like all 12 nodes, in which case then you probably could just do it with some scripting. But
yep, or if you had storage, if you had some persistent stuff. Now, all our persistent stuff, we can get into that at a later time, but all of that's on an external drive as well. So even that should be pretty hot swap. But I'd love to test that out with Rookzef and seeing if it would pick it up and all that stuff. We have a question.
What role does Ansible play?
You hold on. You hold right on to that question. It's a beautiful question. I think we're going to get into it. You can answer that while I reinstall this guy if you want to transition over to the data center view. I'll plug this guy back in while you answer that. Start prepping that because that's where we're going to go next.
Perfect. Yeah. No, I love that question. Before the stream started, McCracken put the idea of this stream together, and I was like, "Oh, are we going to talk about the automation at all? The Ansible?" And the answer was yes. So we are going to cover it. He's got some screenshots, and we'll also probably open up the code a little bit. But the Ansible is basically just the automation for installing or configuring a node. So there's a lot of different configuration management tools out there. Puppet, Chef, Ansible, which is actually a little bit different than Terraform. People talk about Terraform. Terraform's the current hotness. And Terraform is amazing. It really is. But Terraform excels very well when it comes to standing up cloud infrastructure. And the reason for that is it has a lot of modules that have been built that interface with the APIs that talk to AWS and say, hey, I need a VM of this size and I need it connected to this network and blah, blah, blah. So that's kind of where Terraform fits really well. You can make Terraform do Ansible stuff and you can make Ansible do Terraform stuff, but they both have their specialties. Where Ansible comes in is configuration management of a specific node. So when you are standing up a Raspberry Pi cluster, or just a single node, okay? So you have a single node, you want to set it up for Kubernetes, I guess. So you're going to install Kubernetes, you have your first node, you just flashed it with Ubuntu, and now what, right? So when you first stand it up, you have to set your username and password. You have to do an apt-get update, which updates all of the packages and everything for you. And then you have to start creating some, I'm drawing on my memory here from doing it manually. You have to create some different cron, some different cron tab settings, and you have to add some different sys modules. You have to download different apt package repos, or you have to set those up and then download the binaries for Kubernetes. And there's just a lot of little things you have to do along the way. And those are things you can automate using Ansible. Instead of doing it with Bash or things like that, Ansible has a lot of utilities built into it and keywords to say hey, install this package if it doesn't already exist. And they have, a module for apt or a module for yum or things like that, where you can say, I don't write Ansible that often. But I think the module is just apt, and then you have some brackets, and then you list the different packages you want it to be there. And you can use different verbs and keywords that dictate, hey, install if it's not already there, or upgrade it if it's not already there, or uninstall it if it is there, things like that. I think there's modules for the firewall rules in Ubuntu and all sorts of things. So what we use Ansible for K3s, after we did it manually to make sure we knew all the little gotchas, we wrote some Ansible that automate that. So I think it's been a while since I looked at it, and we'll get there. But I'm pretty sure the installation method for the masters and the workers, the controllers and the nodes. Controllers and the nodes are different. I'm pretty sure those are slightly different.
That's true. I just didn't want to go in. I'm going to tell you one thing right now.
Can you hear me? You cannot hear me. Okay, so yeah, we have different modules for both the workers and the masters, and we'll get into it. We'll get into it in just a moment, I'm sure. And you're going to love it. Thank you for the question on Ansible. You helped fill the void.
Yeah, because that was just a hot mess. So the cluster's full, and those screws don't line up perfectly. We're not going to release the vendor of this thing, but they're hard to get, and it's not perfect. So if that thing falls in, I'm going to be very upset. I will fix it after the stream.
But we can watch it fall in live.
It shouldn't. It should have some tension, but yeah. You can place your bets on if the whole cluster is going to short out. I thought of that. No disasters happened, so we're not even going to talk about it. At any rate, right now what's happening is it's now being added back to the network, And on our router, on our network stuff, we have set the MAC address of that particular Pi to always line up to the same IP address. And so we're just going to wait for it to initialize for a minute, and we'll just start clicking on it in a couple seconds. But
and that right there is actually another good example of why having a hobby cluster like this is awesome. It just teaches you a lot about, everything. Networking, IP reservation, your internal DNS, all sorts of things. It's crazy.
You definitely have to brush up on a breadth of skills, even if they're very basic skills in those domains. Well, you got to learn all those work centers and become somewhat competent in them for a minute until you get good at it. But yes.
Do you still have a Pi-hole?
No, I don't run that anymore because I have the Dream Machine Pro here, which basically does a lot of that filtering.
Big Iron.
Pi-hole was good. Yeah, we're running the Big Iron now. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, step 1 is the SSH situation has changed because literally it's a new node and its SSH key is different. And so what we're going to do is to make sure that node 27 is deleted from our known host. And the last time I did this, the IP wasn't in here, which is actually fine.
You can if you just copy that line, you can get rid of it.
Which one? This one?
Where it says remove with. Right there.
Beautiful. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you very much. I always see this. I'm like, yeah. It broke. The answer is staring me in the face. I appreciate that a lot. Cool.
Super easy.
Super.
Barely an inconvenience. I hope that's not trademarked.
I mean, we've watched these videos enough. Cool. Step 1. Do the thing. Do the thing. Step 2. SSH onto the thing. So we have a very new situation here. You'll notice the node's name is Ubuntu at this point. So we got a lot of work to do to put this guy back in the cluster. And by a lot of work, I mean, we're basically almost done. We just got to run a bunch of automation. But the automation does a lot of work. And if you do it the hard way, if you do it the long way, God, it takes forever. And by forever, it's kind of fun in 20 minutes. And so, cool. So we have a node. We've logged into it. We have changed its initial password to something that we want as administrators. And the next thing we're going to do, is go back into the node. So one thing I like to do, I like to do it ahead of time, just because I don't like staring at the Ansible. I like to do a sudo apt update to update the packages and a sudo apt upgrade to upgrade the packages. The Ansible, you definitely can configure, and I think ours does. You configure it to just do that. You can ask the Ansible to do that. It works great. It'll reboot your node. It's beautiful. I don't know. Maybe
I think it's going to do it regardless.
Maybe, but the Ansible is going to run about 20 times faster because of it. It's the long pole.
Oh, yeah.
And so
we're doing one node. I mean, the Ansible has that in it mainly because it can stand up the entire cluster from scratch. So we can stand up all 12 nodes at the same time. with our Ansible playbook right now.
Yep. We're going to do a sudo app upgrade -y to just accept, please. So I've done the update. Okay. There's some Ubuntu master on the stream, I'm sure. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, there's this thing, this lock front end is happening. I'm not crazy, or this unattended upgrade. I'm not crazy into understanding why Ubuntu does this, but my understanding is when there's a fresh install, which is a fresh flashed install, it's connected back to the internet, it just naturally wants to do an update and upgrade of its stuff. I like to know exactly what's going on. I don't know exactly what's going on with this. I haven't Googled it a ton, so, disclaimer. But what I normally do here, I normally bounce this node, let it come back up, and then do my own apt update and upgrade, because I just like to see it happen and resolve on its own, which is what we're going to do, because I'm running the show, and I own this thing. Sudo reboot now, and we wait for it to come back up. I don't know if you ever messed with that, Makita.
No, and I honestly don't do the reboot. I just wait for it.
Yeah, you can do that too. But normally we're not on stream doing a live demo. I mean, I'm pretty confident in these steps to do it on stream as live demo. We'll see what happens. If not, we'll just leave the stream up, and then people will log in next week. All the people log in next week, and there'll be 2 skeletons of us here just waiting for this stupid thing to.
It takes a long time too. I guess I'm not a Linux admin. I'm not a Linux admin. And when I'm doing this stuff, I see something like that happen, and I probably researched it at the time, and they say probably just wait for it to finish or something. I don't know. So I do, and that's what I do going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I have a workflow. It's a known behavior, and this is my thought behind it. I have a workflow. It's known behavior. I'm comfortable with that behavior. I'm going to operate within that. I'm going to try not to change it too often, unless that's really something I'm going to invest in and change. Keep things as consistent as possible when it makes sense. And maybe we'll do a stream on what the hell is going on with unattended upgrade. It's probably super normal. And in fact, we could Google that during the apt upgrade just to spite ourselves or whatever.
I like it.
Yeah, you can take a peek.
I like it. I'll take a peek.
If it's rerunning after this reboot, I'm going to be very upset. No, we're good. We're Gucci. So there you go. So now we're going to do the upgrade -y and just take all the things, please. So what was the error? Unattended upgrades?
I got it right here. Safely running first apt upgrade on Ubuntu server, blah, blah, blah. Okay. While running that and that, I get the error. Lock front end.
Yeah.
Nope. Answer's not here.
No.
I'll keep looking. You keep going.
Well, I mean, this is going to take about 5 to 10 minutes. That would be a good time to get your coffee.
Okay, so the long-term solution to the problem is easy. So we still need to go back, and I want to know why it's there in the first place. But you can run sudo apt remove unattended upgrades. There is, in my opinion, no excuse for the poor design of unattended upgrades, blocking every software install and even system shutdown for hours with an automatically initiated process that a user cannot shut down without risking corrupting the apt database. The mind boggles. In the short term, you can either wait and hope or send a sig kill and hope for the best. It will be okay if it is either taking a long time to download or is stuck because of a missing certificate, faulty connection, or one of the million other reasons unattended upgrades can trip over its own shoelaces. You may need to manually remove the lock file.
So those are your words.
Oh, no. This is just somebody's response on Stack Exchange.
Perfect. I trust it. I trust that opinion. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad somebody else feels the same way I do about it and knows, a couple more steps deeper. But certainly as a user, it's annoying. And it could just be my workflow. It sounds like it's not just my workflow. It's other people's workflow too. Imagine flashing Ubuntu and trying to set stuff up.
So it's a Debian utility.
Okay.
It's not specific to Ubuntu. But the purpose of the unattended upgrades is to keep the computer current with the latest security updates automatically.
That's good. So stopping it to put on the security updates plus every other update sounds virtuous to me. So I'm pretty happy with the way I'm handling it at the moment. Cool.
Seems good.
So that's going to keep running. We're at 54. It's going to stick at 99 for a hot minute because you know how that be sometimes.
Did you want to bring up the Ansible at all?
I do. So it's been a while since I've taken a walk through this, but we have a nice little Ansible playbook. Now, this is our Ansible playbook that will install K3s controllers and worker nodes in a cluster that you define in your hosts file.
Two things. Could you make the browser window full screen and then zoom in a little bit?
Sure.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you.
I have a copy of... I think this one's fine. The first Ansible playbook that we're going to run bootstraps SSH keys and has to know the password and stuff. So I'll show you
how
that.
About I... Oh, yeah. That one's fine. You're right. Go ahead.
This one's fine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first thing we define for this playbook are what are the hosts. This is our inventory file. And there are some labels here. The primary master, or controller rather, is this guy. And here are our secondary ones, which again are not actually being load balanced. So these guys are just hanging out. They're basically worker nodes in our cluster because we didn't, we allow them to be, basically. Let's go with that. We also define our worker nodes here. And we just tell them the IP addresses. Now, because I've MAC address locked .27 to node 1's hardware, it's just always going to be node 1. And I really should put a label on that thing. They were once labeled, but they have undergone mass transformation since, and I need to borrow the label maker from the missus. Your missus, not mine. I don't have one. But we'll get that all handled eventually. And for now, I just know where they're at. So, and I just double check which one they're plugged into, which PoE switch they're plugged into, and blah, blah, blah. Take a quick look. We're at 90%. So here's our inventory file. If we go back,
I can't remember when that host file obviously has everything in it, which is great. Did we write the code, or did I write the code that checks to see if it's already installed or not before?
Yes. You added some additional checks for that.
Awesome. So it can be rerun as is.
It can be, and I know this because I tried it a week ago, and it did not break everything. Which is hence why I'm doing this stream, because I want to solidify this into my own memory and inform the rest of you all so that I never have to remember it again. I've documented it as well, but it's in here. Yeah. Main playbook. All the hosts. So the way that the high level way that Ansible works, and you can correct me here. We've designated a few different classes or categories of our inventory. All I think is a reserved word. So everything in inventory will have this role run against it, basically. And we'll go through the roles, or we can. The primary master, primary controller, will have that role run against it, and so on and so forth. Workers will have workers. So that's how you can say, well, node 1's going to be a worker because it's underneath node 1, and controllers are underneath controllers, and blah, blah, blah. And when you drill into the roles, I think common
runs on everything.
We set the host name. Here's update packages to their latest. So it's going to run apt, probably apt update or upgrade. Maybe it might be up. I don't know which one. It's going to do some apt stuff that we're running right now, just manually, because I don't like thinking that the Ansible's stuck. Okay. Not that that's ever happened to me. I just don't like it. We're configuring some container runtime stuff, cgroup stuff, more container runtime stuff. So we're making Ubuntu ready to be able to handle containers. BRNet filter, this is necessary. sysctl stuff, CRI, the container runtime, again, necessary. Reboot the thing, awesome. Everything has that happen. Everything's running containers. Everything needs apt update. Everything needs its host name, just so, etc. Take a quick look. We're at 99. Since we're doing a worker, I'm going to focus on the worker, because I think we're almost ready. And the main thing that I did not want to do is click on that.
I can blur it out. Don't worry. Post-production.
You hate to see it. Why? I don't know why you even asked me to go through this. That's totally my fault. Check this out. Boom. That's what the code looks like underneath that file. Totally blurred out. Just add that. And there you go. Installing K3s on a worker is literally a shell script, because K3s is awesome, and we're just piping it from the internet. Which we can take a look at over here. I have it up. And we say, I actually added some enhancements here recently. Maybe you probably can't see this that well. Maybe you can. Install K3s version, and I have version locked the version that we're going to upgrade to. And we say, we pipe that to shell-s. We say K3s agent, give it the server name, and give it a token. That really doesn't matter because it's just an on-prem cluster and blah, blah, blah. It's not a cluster. And what are you going to do? You're going to join yourself to my cluster. Good for you. It's awesome. And the same thing for the controllers. Version lock. Now that I'm looking at this PR, though, I betcha, maybe I don't. Because it didn't. Actually, we're going to find out. There's a good chance I might need to update the other init YAML for just the other controllers and version lock it to the upgraded version. So here's the version we're at right now, 21.3. We're going to change this to 21.9.
Yeah, probably.
Which is the other thing that we can talk through. Here is the get.k3s.io that is called by that Ansible. It is a giant bash script, as far as I know.
It's massive.
It's cool. It's not. It's actually not that huge, but it's cool, and it's got all the instructions right in here. And that's how I had a huge brain and version locked it the other week to use this guy, and they kind of give you some examples. They are very kind. Thank you, Rancher. I mean, even I could figure this out. It was awesome. And we are back. Whew, I'm exhausted. So our node
You're doing great.
Our node 1 is good to go. We are going to we're going to go to this Ansible init. And what this init will do, we're not going to go through this because it has passwords and stuff in it that I actually care about. We're going to run this Ansible playbook. -I. There's a file called inventory in here. And we're going to run init YAML. And it has the, you'll love to see it. Please hold. You love, I don't want to talk about it. Scotty probably has an opinion on this. Why can there be YAML and YAML at the same time? I have no idea. I don't know. It shouldn't be. Please just make it one. But all is forgiven now. Cool. Just because, he says. I agree. So, .27 had its SSH keys handled, and its password, it's got all this stuff. So, this is just kind of bootstrapping it, just so that the next playbook can be run from this bastion and just do all the SSHing very nicely. And here we are. Actually, yeah, I'm not even going to go through it. I had a sample inventory without the proper password, totally prepared. It's not worth it. Just got a different password in it. Trust me. It's got the IP address and the thing. So now we're going to run. Now we're going to run a playbook that does what we were just looking at. It's going to install a bunch of container stuff in it, and then it's going to install K3s as a worker node, because node 1 is a worker. .27 here. And if we do, if we go back into this guy real quick, notice I didn't need to install, or I didn't need to give my password because the init worked. Which is just sharing the SSH keys, very pedestrian stuff. And yet didn't have to do it. The node is still called Ubuntu. So that's right. This next piece here will actually rename the node, do a bunch of things, and it will actually add it to the cluster at the end. So this is basically the last command. Ansible playbook. We're going to run playbook YAML. I'm just going to autocomplete. I don't know why I didn't not do that before. And our inventory file in this case is called hosts, which we've looked at already. And so we run it. And before we run it, I think, did I already go in here and update the version of Kubernetes to be 1.21.9? And the answer is yes. So when I run this, it's going to do a lot. If you're okay with it, we'll just run it.
I think we should. Our streams are usually an hour long, and we're already at an hour, and this is going to take a while. So I think we should just do it all in one go.
The people demand massive content, and I deliver.
This is massive content. We're doing it.
I know. You're going to fix some of this in post anyway. You can just put the Jeopardy music up. Fast forward. So here we go.
I am.
I really hope this works. This is every time I run Ansible. Oh, hope this works. It just worked. It's fine. We're DevOpsing with this Ansible playbook. I ran it last week. It's beautiful. Notice node 1 was picked up. You love to see that. It's gathering facts. I am not going to talk through this Ansible because in no way do you want me doing it. But I do love it. I love the music choice today too. Appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, it's my new thing. It just got recommended to me on YouTube, and it said no copyright, so it's usable for streaming. And yeah, I don't know. I like the vibe. So I've been listening to it at work and stuff too.
Notice init cluster if needed. Node 1 was not part of the init cluster, but node 1 was picked up on this other guy. So lots happening down here. C groups added to node 1.
Damn, that went quick. Now it's rebooting.
That's what I'm saying. You just do the apt update ahead of time, and then this thing is, you're just confident in what's going on here. It just keeps on trucking. So
yeah, don't trust the automation. Definitely do it manually first. That makes the automation better.
That is true. Now, I'm going to give you a point there. Maybe I got, in my defense, maybe I got in the habit of doing that ahead of time when I was developing the Ansible, and I didn't like waiting. I didn't like waiting to know if it was correct. So I just started updating all the apt updates on many nodes before I was iterating ahead of time. And there's my best defense. I think that's what I was doing.
Okay. Well, I'll let it slide. For the glories of the stream, though, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think yeah. I think it's a good call for the stream.
It is what it is. Now, ideally, I don't want to talk about this anymore. Let's take a look at what was updated in this dang release. Known issues. There's an issues with etcd. See, we need that fixed. That wasn't happening to us, but
good. All right, what do we got? Update to Kubernetes 21.9. Enable debug logging. K3s servers no longer attempt to manage C group membership. Okay. I mean, all of the stuff super low level. Yes, it's important, but I'm looking for the big shinies for the stream.
Accordion S, metric server, traffic.
There we go.
I've never heard of pause.
I don't know what that is either.
Should I know what that is?
I mean, I don't know what it is, so no, you're good. Cool. Looks like a maintenance update.
Here we go. Init cluster. Set up and join node to cluster. So just keep an eyeball.
They're changing.
Yeah, keep an eyeball on these versions and okay. It's done.
Oh! There it goes!
Did I not update the control plane? Damn it.
Glorious.
Dang
and all
it.
the pods are still there.
Yeah.
All the pods are still there. Just beautiful.
Yeah. Correct, because the pods are running. K3s goes down. K3s comes back up. Sees that there are pods. Kubernetes is still aware. etcd is still aware that there's probably stuff still there. Everything hooks back up. It's all good to go. Node 1, however, it's my favorite. It's my boy.
You should just go back and quickly edit the... Do you want me to change screens so you can do it and the token doesn't show?
Yes.
Oh, okay. There you go. Edit away. Less post-processing for me.
Dummy. All right.
I think you have to put it in both spots, though, right? Both the primary master and the masters.
Yeah.
Which I think we need to rename that to controllers. Primary controller and controllers.
We do. It's here. Yeah, I think I just... Yeah, I think I just need to change it in the other spot. I did change it in the primary controller. But but I need to change it in the other role for all controllers. Pretty sure that's what's hosing us. Ooh, I also need to add the version locking bit, so please hold.
I love K3s though. It literally takes all of the I guess really, I mean, it just shoulders all the heavy lifting. It's so fast, so fast, and you get all of the bells and whistles. So like after you roll it out, you already have the ingress controller installed. You know, you already have the load balancing installed. It's crazy good. I'm very happy. Kudos to Rancher. Thank you. We were running open source, just straight up Kubernetes for a long time, managing it with kubeadm, which was great. You know, kubeadm, awesome. But on these tiny Raspberry Pis, K3s just shines.
Yeah, we were having lots of health check timeouts, etc. Not great. You can bring me back up if you'd like.
All right.
And I have made that adjustment in the controllers role. So hopefully we see these guys get updated.
I'm disappointed we haven't seen any action on the data center stream.
What do you mean?
I was hoping to see it like fall in or something. It would have been great.
Fall in? What data center stream? Oh, God. No, we don't want that. What if there's a fire in my house? I mean, the data center location. Yeah, no, we don't want that. I mean, it's in a steel box. Not too worried about it. But I don't want to buy new ones. Actually, if we are going to redo the thing, I'm going to buy the old Dell server, Big Iron. We're going to go VMware. And you can have the Pis back.
There you go.
We follow Network Chuck. Wherever he goes, we go. Trust Chuck.
You said you were very interested in the whole VM thing for a while.
I'm still very interested in it. It's huge.
All right.
I mean, it's just like way easier.
Okay, cool. It's skipping the init, which is okay.
If this doesn't work, future stream. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll just have to revisit the Ansible.
Well, it might not work if the check to run that role is too strict on the on the controllers, which is good. I'd much rather have it too strict. Hey, who turned off my lights? There's other people in this house. Yeah, it didn't work. So one of the checks said, yeah, you're already installed. So we will relax that in a future stream. We're not going to go much farther on that.
Yeah.
Dang it. So, but the piece I set out to do, I'm telling you, it does look nice in there.
I love how somebody just went in and turned off the lights. I find it funny.
We are a cost-conscious household. I mean, I didn't make it known to everyone in this house that I needed that light on. And I really don't. It actually looks dope.
That's funny.
I could just stare at that. Well, it mostly worked, and we did not destroy our cluster. We actually enhanced our cluster with a fresh, let's look at kubectl.
So yeah, bring it back to how you started it. You started the stream by showing how much ephemeral storage was available.
Sure. Here's our firmware is at 1050 here, as we anticipated. Like node 2, so node 1 is fresh like node 2. All the others are still at 1048. And yeah, let's take a look at the ephemeral storage.
Hey, the light's back on.
I'm glad I have it muted. I don't know what people are doing back there. They're like getting dinner out or something. You never know.
There it is.
Any questions in the chat? Please clap. We'll fix that. I'd much rather have that too strict, and I'm glad you put that in there. You don't want to mess around with stuff until you've tested it. So much rather have it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been so long since I looked at that code.
God, but what's going on back there?
I don't know. It's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how the code's written anymore. It's been months and months since I looked at it. But I'm sure we could maybe even make it super smart and say like, hey, if it's already installed, don't do anything. But if the version changed, yeah, then go ahead and upgrade it or something. Maybe we check the version. I don't know.
Well, and to close out the stream, as we started, you promised to make this open source. We would accept a pull request to fix this slight defect.
Yeah, I will take a look at it. I should have this video hopefully posted within the next week. There's going to have to be a lot of post-processing for this particular video. We had a lot of, I don't know. I'm going to have to blur some stuff out. I had some audio issues, but I'll get it cleaned up. Yeah, a little bit. That's okay, though. And I'll get it cleaned up. I'll work on the PR, and this is going to be a good video. I'm excited.
Cool. Well, thank you very much for everybody hanging out with us today. And thanks, Makita, for producing. And
I love it.
PyCluster's here, so somebody tell you know who that everything should be working.
Oh, lights went out again.
Hopefully something good's happening back there.
All right. Well, okay. Thank you for joining us on the Cloud Native Coffee Hour. We will be back next week, 4 until 5 on Wednesdays with more exciting content. Yeah, like and subscribe. We love you all and have a wonderful evening.
Bye-bye.